Guys, it is now time for us to talk about Jerry Lawler, the early career of Jerry Lawler.
And I've
Now,
seen some of the early stuff. It is great. It is
tremendous,
great.
tremendous stuff that he did back in those days. I will tell a quick story. I won't tell as long of a story that Jerry Lawler told on one of his podcasts or an interview that he had, but the short version of this is Jerry Lawler has his first match, and he decides that he wants to do a move where the actual tag team, I think it was maybe the Medics, just another team that because it was an outlaw group that he was working for down from Memphis, and he wanted to do this thing where he saw this guy where he threw him out of the ropes. And he never hooked the ropes or nothing, and just went out. And the guy would hit that, and they carried him out, and he said it was great. It was great. He thought, I want to do this in the match. I just want to do it, but I don't want to be carried out or nothing. I just want to do this and try to do it. So he has this match. He's never had, he's never even been in the ring. So he decides he wants to do that. So they go and they take him, whoop, and they throw him outside the ring. The same way that guy did. He don't touch nothing. He said the only thing he remembers is hearing a loud thump. That's how I don't remember nothing else. Just a loud thump. And he said that he said, he said, I wake up and I'm being fanned by this. He's waking up. He said, what happened? He said, his partner, and I can't remember who his partner was, but his partner looked at him and said, well, he said, well, you did that little thing you wanted to do, but that was the last thing you did. He said, the match was finished. But if you get to listen, Jerry Lawler tells the story, and he tells a long drawn out story how he got there and everything. But it's a very interesting story. Rodney, do you got some of the matches from Jerry Lawler?
I do. We start in May of 1971. This is actually May 15th, 1971, at the Memorial Auditorium in Chattanooga. Jerry Lawler defeats Mac York, and then in the auditorium, in June the 17th of 1971, he's back at Memorial Auditorium. Jerry Lawler defeats Tony Mendoza. Then at Tri-State Wrestling in Anniston, this is on November the 4th of 1971 at the City Auditorium in Anniston. It's Ramon Perez and Gary Martin versus Jerry Lawler and Steve Lawler. Is that the Steve Lawler that we all know?
No,
Steve the Brawler Lawler.
There is a picture of him.
Oh, nope, that's not the same one either.
Yeah, there is a.
All right, that's Jerry Lawler and Steve Lawler. They're the champions, and of course the winners unknown. This was for the Tri-States Tag Team titles. Then in a show in Florence at the Armory in Florence, Alabama, on January the 13th, 1972, Jerry Lawler defeats Joe Correa. January the 20th, 1972, City Auditorium, Anniston, Alabama. Jerry Lawler and Steve Lawler defeat Hillbilly Chuck and the Scuffling Hillbilly Vic in a 2 out of 3 fall match. Tri-State Wrestling again back in Anniston at the City Auditorium on February 3rd, 1972. It's Hillbilly Chuck, Scuffling Hillbilly Vic, and Buddy Wayne against Jerry Lawler, Steve Lawler, and Burrhead Jones, one of my favorites, and winners unknown in that one. February the 10th, 1972, the Armory in Florence, Alabama. Jerry Lawler defeats Lynn Rossi by countout. Then February 16th, 1972, at the Fairground Sports Arena in Nashville, Tennessee, Bearcat Brown and Roy Lee Welch versus Jerry Lawler and Sir Clements. The winner in that match was unknown. I'd love to have seen that. I would have loved to have seen that one. That would have been awesome. It was February 22nd, 1972, back at Memorial Auditorium in Chattanooga. Alex Medina and Roy Lee Welch defeated Jerry Lawler and the Green Shadow. And then at the Armory in Florence, Alabama, on February 24th, 1972, Kevin Sullivan defeated Jerry Lawler by countout. March the 16th, 1972, at the Armory in Florence, Alabama, Robert Fuller and Kevin Sullivan defeated Jerry Lawler and Jim White. So apparently they start to team in 1972, Lawler and Jim White, one of the legendary teams. At this point, is Sam Bass with them at this point, Brent?
I believe it is not Sam Bass at this time. I believe it may be what's the other guy that managed at the time?
Well, Sir Clements was earlier. And he's
It
one. He's
may
a
have been,
man.
it may have been Sir Clements or Jim Kent.
Jim Kent. Okay, yeah, because Jimmy Kent did do a lot of managing. All right, so now we are March the 30th, 1972, back at the Armory in Florence, Alabama. Joey Rossi and Eddie Marlin defeated Jerry Lawler and Jim White. And then we come up on April the 5th, 1972, at the Fairgrounds Sports Arena in Nashville. It's Kevin Sullivan, Cora Combs, and Darling Dagmar defeating Jerry Lawler, Donna Cristianello, and Diamond Lil. I love Diamond Lil. I remember her from way back. She was awesome. And it match lasted 38 minutes. It was 2 out of 3 fall match. And of course, the Coracom Sullivan and Darling Dagmar is the winner in that one. Then we come to April the 8th, 1972, Memorial Auditorium in Chattanooga. Pepe Lopez and Jerry Lawler versus Lynn Rossi and Tony Charles. Winner was unknown. That was for the Mid-America Tag Team Championship. And then we are April the 10th, 1972, Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis. Jerry Lawler and Jim White defeated Jimmy Kent. There was apparently not his manager. Unless they fired him. There might have been a situation where they fired him. We don't know. It's Jimmy Kent and Eddie Marlin. All right, so again, Jerry Lawler, Jim White defeating Jimmy Kent and Eddie Marlin. Then on April the 17th, 1972, back at the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Jerry Lawler and Jim White defeated Kevin Sullivan and Eddie Marlin. Then they're at the American Legion Arena, Blytheville, Arkansas, on April 18th, 1972. Eric Von Bronner versus Jerry Lawler, and that was a 2 out of 3 fall match. Winner unknown. And then back at the Armory in Florence, Alabama, April the 20th, 1972. One of my favorites, Bearcat Brown versus Jerry Lawler. Ended up without a winner because of a time limit draw. And then we come April the 27th, 1972, Mid-South Coliseum. I think my aunt's favorite, Oni Wiki Wiki. Tommy Gilbert and Tojo Yamamoto defeated Jerry Lawler, Jim White, and this time Jimmy Kent in a 2 out of 3 fall match. Well, things.
Well, maybe they had it. Maybe they had an argument.
Reconciliation.
They got it. He was going to team with them, and he turned on him again. And then they brought Oni Wiki Wiki.
Oni Wiki Wiki, yes.
Oni Wiki Wiki.
We love that name.
I'm telling you, there needs to be a wrestler called Oni Wiki Wiki.
Oni Wiki Wiki. I loved Oni. That was, I think it was my Aunt Jane's favorite wrestler, Oni Wiki Wiki. And Tojo was one of my grandmothers. She liked them all.
Well, let's show a couple of photographs of Jerry Lawler. Here is a very young photograph of Jerry Lawler, right at his beginnings. Let's throw this picture up right here. It says Jerry and Steve Lawler after a tough defense of the Tri-State Championship belts in Montgomery, Alabama. And so this is this guy right here. That is the same guy, right? I mean, this guy's
like it.
Looks like it. He's all busted up.
He's all busted up. Somebody beat him up for the
Tri-State. Somebody whooped him.
All right,
okay. There's Jimmy Kent, right?
That's Jimmy Kent managing
Jim White and Jerry Lawler.
Jerry Lawler. Now, that could have been later on because Lawler looks like he's gained a lot of weight at this point. So from this picture here.
Yeah.
So but it has to be
older one, looks like.
Here is a photograph of one of his early matches at the TV station, Jerry Lawler.
Wow.
This is when they allowed him to start wrestling on television.
There was a time that he could not wrestle on TV.
I don't think they wanted him to wrestle.
Is that the time he got thrown out of the ring and he couldn't continue?
No, I think they did that after. I think they allowed him because at the same time when he was doing, Jerry Lawler actually worked for Jackie Fargo and some other guy in a they had a little radio station. Jackie Fargo and some other guy. And he actually was like a nighttime disc jockey for Jackie Fargo and this guy. And Jackie finally found out he was working for the Outlaw Group. So he told
I remember that story, yeah.
So he helped him get a job. He actually helped him get a job to actually wrestle. So here's another photograph will be later on. But you see Jim White there, and I don't know who the opponents are. And I don't even know if this was in Memphis or this is in Alabama. I'm not for sure. Here's another picture of a very young. Now he's a champion by this, so I bet this might be in Alabama. I would say maybe this is in Tri-States area, because here's a picture of him right there.
I love that belt.
Yeah, that's a beautiful belt. But every one of them belts looked the same back then.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Everybody had the same. Here he is doing his strutting with his belt. So I'm thinking this
looks like he just stole a match and he's out of here. That's what it looks like, grabbing his belt and getting out.
The stars of tomorrow. There you see Jerry Lawler whips Jim Golden. Good little picture of them right there. And I'm going to have to read that story. I've never read that story, so I'll have to read that story one day. Here he is, Jerry Lawler, Jim Kent, and Jim White. So Jim Kent did manage him at some point. So they must have done a little swerve job when he kept on going back and forth there. That must have been what was going on during that time. Because by this, there's Sam Bass.
There you go.
Sam Bass with Jerry Lawler and Jim White. So at some point, and I would say during this time frame that we're talking about right now, it was there. Here is a Tuesday, October 24th, Johnson City Recreation Center. Main event, grudge six-man tag, Jerry Lawler, Jim White, and Sam Bass against Cowboy Frankie Lane, Vic the Hillbilly, and Kevin Sullivan. Hey, was that the Scuffling Hillbillies, or was that just their version of the Scuffling Hillbillies? Do y'all know?
That I don't know. There's another one, a big-time match right underneath that. Ron and Don Wright against Bearcat Brown and Dennis Hall. What a match. I'd love to see that.
Jerry Lawler, from the beginning, was great. And we will pick up after that. We'll pick up after April of 1972, the next time we talk about Jerry Lawler, because there is so much. Jerry Lawler's career spanned, we know he's spanning 50 years in professional wrestling. And so this is just the beginning.
Yeah, we'll have parts 11, 12, 13, 27.